Okay, welcome everybody to Economic Tourism and Cultural Committee, Wednesday, April the 16th. We'll call the meeting to order. Can I have approval of the agenda? Moved by Councilor Twill, second by
I'll move it.
Councilor Ramsey. Okay. Can I have any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none. Can I have approval of the minutes from March 12th, 2025?
I'll move it.
Moved from Kevin Ramsey, second by Councilor Twill. Business arising from the minutes? Is there any?
Seeing none?
Seeing none, we'll move into the reports. We have Susan Freeman here with Meet PEI presentation. Sue, you have the floor. Thank you.
To rebrand of the organization from Meetings and Conventions PEI to Meet PEI. You can see on the screen our new logo of Meet PEI. The name balances between being on trend and timeless as trends evolve. PEI is as the centerpiece of all communication, and Meet PEI as a play on words. The logos for Meet PEI are drawn from inspiration from the Red Cliffs of Prince Edward Island and meeting the Atlantic Canada shoreline. The logo captures the essence of PEI scenery, inviting visitors to experience the island's unique and natural beauty. We have our primary logos and our alternate logos and alternate versions in white and color. The colors are derived from our shoreline tides, our coastal breezes, our cliffside coves, and our deep water straits. And the brand line, business event that make waves. Our brand line captures the essence of our purpose and our values and is an integral part of our strategy, serving as a clear and consistent expression of what our brand represents. We also took the time to change our membership structure, purchase new trade show booth, and continue to work through other recommendations as our organization will allow us to showcase PEI as an authentic and unique destination to host business events and conferences. Our partners in Charlottetown are key to our organization's success. Meetings Mean Business Canada attributes $47 billion of direct spending in the meeting and conference business, 40% of all tourism spending in Canada, and over 200,042 jobs. The impact of business events and conferences on PEI in 2024 was $21.4 million, with 92% of the business events that the team at Meet PEI was involved in hosting in the shoulder season. It is very important that Meet PEI continue to attend trade shows, host events, and organize sales missions with our team and our industry in key markets of Ottawa, Toronto, and Montreal, with other markets being considered of Calgary and Edmonton. Building relationships and meeting in person with clients that we are targeting to host their business events and conferences on PEI is vitally important to our success. The Meet PEI team will travel to over 15 trade shows in the next 12 months to connect with meeting planners attending these shows. We will host 2 familiarization tours, hosting up to 12 clients on each tour this year on Prince Edward Island. The clients will spend 2 nights in Charlottetown and 1 night outside of Charlottetown. And we have seen an increase in requests for what we call our on your own time tours, where meeting planners will fly into Charlottetown and will host them one-on-one to explore the destination. We see a great return on investment when we host clients on Prince Edward Island for these familiarization tours, and they get to experience what we do as well as we can with our hospitality and our members. Our marketing team is marketing our destination in meeting planner industry magazines, digital marketing, and social media. Our meeting planner newsletter has great engagement rates with over 50% open rates. Our funding is key to ensure that we can continue to successfully target business events for Prince Edward Island, and the TAL funding for Meet PEI is very important as costs continue to rise and we continue to see competition across Canada and across the world for destination hosting. We're also in a time of industry incentives, and our competition has greater funds to incentivize conferences to choose their destination to host groups over hours. It's becoming increasingly difficult to compete with other destinations having large hosting grants for the destinations, and we're losing some key pieces of business to other Atlantic Canadian cities. Meet PEI is actively looking to increase the amount of funds that we can offer to level out this competition. We had an impactful year of 2024, as you can see from the report that I've given you, with 121 business events hosted on Prince Edward Island, a little over 18,000 delegates, 92% of business events outside of the summer season, 63.5% of converted leads to future bookings. And our virtual delegate bag, I'll also mention, is a sustainability initiative where we don't print and try and get coupons for delegates coming into Prince Edward Island and Charlottetown to be put in bags that we know are just going to be thrown into the waste. So we've developed this virtual delegate bag where people can go online and get offers from our partners across Charlottetown and across Prince Edward Island. And we had over 12,000 views on that delegate bag last year. So it shows that it's a tool that we continue to support and that our partners continue to support with offers, and it's a well-used tool. To date, we have approximately 4,000 delegates coming into Charlottetown in May and June of this year, which creates a great spring start for all of our partners in Charlottetown, and an estimated impact of $4.5 million for those conference attendees coming in May and June of this year. And thank you for your time.
And thank you, Sue, for coming in. And I should have asked, so I assume you know everybody else in the room here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Kevin, do you have any questions on the report for Sue?
No, I'd certainly like to thank Sue for everything, for her presentation.
Okay. Mitchell, you got any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Sue, for coming here and meeting with the committee. From a meetings and convention perspective, if you look at post-COVID, is the industry back to where it was pre-COVID? And if it is, what modifications were made to adapt and adjust to those challenges?
The reports out through Destination Canada Business Events do show that we are still recovering from the pandemic, and they don't show in our sector true recovery until 2028. We are seeing with our lead generation reports that that is true for us as well. We're seeing in 2028 that we're getting back to what we would consider a natural order of business, where we're working 3 to 4 years out with conferences booking and looking for leads. There was many different initiatives that were taken over the pandemic, and certainly working with Destination Canada Business Events, we have really featured Canada as a key area for travel, to try and get international business into Canada, but then also nationally with what's going on right now, we're also seeing a bit of a trend in speaking over the last 3 months to meeting planners in markets where we are, that they're interested in keeping their business in Canada. So we will be actively and aggressively targeting meeting planners to think of Prince Edward Island as a destination over the next 2 years to host their business events if they're not looking to go south of the border.
Thank you. If you look at the size of the convention space that we have here in Charlottetown, what conventions would you say are prohibited from coming here because of the, amount of delegates that can be accommodated, for example, at the convention center. And when I say that more specifically, at a sit-down conference as opposed to, standing or here for receptions and that kind of a dynamic. But I'm talking about conventions where people would love to come to Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island because of what we have to offer, but cannot come here because of, I would suggest, space restrictions.
We are tracking all of the reasons that we lose business in Charlottetown. And we're actively seeking conferences that fit in our size. We have a very niche market, so 800 people really is, with the accommodation partners and the size of what we have, can be accommodated at the convention center, which we've been very successful in hosting. We may have lost a few pieces of business due to size, but we might get them for something smaller. There's always opportunity, if they can't host a larger piece of business here, they can host a smaller piece of business. Where we are concerned is where we're losing business to the hosting grant funds that are made available by other cities, and that we're in competition. When we have a rotation of national organizations that would go east, central, and west, when it's their turn to come back east, we're losing them to other Atlantic Canadian cities because perhaps there's funds that are being able to be accessed by those conferences from the destination that's helping to pay for their conference to bring it to that destination. So that's where we're a little bit more concerned now than size. But we do have 2 conferences in 2028 that one is an 800-person conference and another, when they were here in 2018, they had 1,250 delegates. And they can't wait to get back to Prince Edward Island 10 years from when they were here because everyone is still talking about that conference that was hosted in Charlottetown 10 years ago. So we know that we have the capacity to do as high as that. It just takes some, what they need to have in their conference with its trade show and with their meetings to make sure that it can fit in the space. And then we can be successful with it.
Okay? Sue, can you take me back a little bit to when we talk about the comparisons from funding that you get to try and bring people to Prince Edward Island for meetings and conventions compared to some of your competitors? It sounds like you feel you're in an uneven playing field.
We are certainly in an uneven playing field. There are destinations in Atlantic Canada that have been able to access funds differently than us. And every destination that we've looked at over the past year, it's all very different. Some are facilitated where the leisure travel and the sport and the meeting might all be under one roof. Some are facilitated through city where the levy funds are coming in.
Can I get you to bring that a little closer to you?
Yeah, sure. Some are
Just
facilitated.
pull that towards you.
Sure.
There you go, yeah.
Some are facilitated with the levy funds coming in, where they get all of the levy fund for the organization. So, for example, I believe in Ottawa, the levy funds are 6%, and that would go into the Ottawa tourism destination, and then they would be able to put pots of money aside for hosting grants, what they're going to spend on leisure travel, what they're going to spend on the different organizations that are under their roof. So we're actively working on developing a hosting grant fund for ourselves, which we're going to probably be able to get some funds out this year.
So you're going to work on that yourselves. So where would your funding be coming from?
Our funding comes from the tourism levy here in Charlottetown. And we have some provincial government funding, some federal government funding, and then our membership funds. We're also doing some more revenue streams through selling advertising ourselves. And we had a little bit of funds that were left over from a previous year that we have earmarked to start a hosting grant fund for this year.
So do you find that, well, I guess the question is, if you had more funding, would you be able to bring more events and conferences to the city?
Yes, if we had more funding, we would be able to bring
So
more.
how many dollars are we talking about?
Well, our budget is just a little over $1 million. We're, competing with destinations across Canada that have many more hotel rooms than us, have many more, the rates are higher, so that all drives into that funding. We get requests anywhere from $50,000 to bring a conference in to $250,000 to bring a conference in to Charlottetown, and we just don't have that money.
So how does the provincial government funding, how does that work with you guys?
They fund us every year with a core amount of funding, and we report back to them on what we're doing, the same as what we do with our other partners.
Okay, so that core amount of funding, does that change?
It hasn't changed for the last few years, no.
How much is it now?
It's $200,000.
Okay. So and you said you guys bring in on average 21.4 million to the economy?
Yes.
Pretty good deal. For the
We
province.
appreciate all of our funding partners and how they help us, for sure. And certainly, Tourism PI has been a great partner for us over the last few years.
Okay. No, we're trying to talk to the province too and get a little better deal on bringing events and so on here. And, so far we're finding that what we have to pay to bring events here is costing us a lot more money than what the province is, but the province gets all the revenue from the 10% sales tax.
I really feel like there's ways that we can make more money ourselves from our organization through other funding opportunities, especially with how we're marketing and from our partnership with our partners across PEI. So I think the funds that we receive from both the federal government and the provincial government, for this year anyway, it's status quo is good for us for now, but certainly we're always open to discussion.
Okay, all right. Your Worship, I know you just popped in late. Did you have any questions?
I do. So Sue, thanks for coming in. I had to go out for a little bit, but I wanted to make sure I got back here. So you know that we will be providing, well, I think wrote a check for a little over 2 million plus to do a engineering, designs, preliminary plans for the Eastlink
Yes.
multi-use sports entertainment center. So they're looking at expanding it up to what, 5,400, correct? 5,200. So we've been at the FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities.
Yes.
Is that still too small to attract that kind of a annual convention to Charlottetown? Or is it-
I
or is-
don't think that it is.
Okay.
No.
But is there also the issue that we don't have the accommodation to fill that bill?
Certainly, what we talk to meeting planners about, and of course, if you haven't been here before, you don't realize that how walkable and safe our city is. So
Yeah.
that's one of the main things that we talk to meeting planners about, is that even if you are being hosted at a different location, you don't necessarily have to be under the same roof to stay there, and you can get anywhere within 5 minutes of walking. So it's one of the key things that is a really great selling feature, especially when we bring people in on familiarization tours and they get to do that walking tour with us.
Right.
And we go around to all the hotels in Charlottetown, and they can see that their delegates will not have a challenge getting to and from if they're being hosted at the convention center, or if they're being hosted at the Eastlink Center. Really, it wouldn't be that much further.
Yeah. See, we're not just talking about a rink anymore. The old Civic Center rink is not that anymore. It's called the Eastlink Multi-Use Sports Entertainment Center. So John Abbott and the board have been trying to look at many, many different options for that facility, one being conventions, trade shows, and so forth. So that could be a marketable tool for Meet PEI.
Absolutely. Any new product like that is very key for us.
Right, right. So we just need more advocates out there telling our provincial, federal government MPs, MLAs that, this is a good deal
Sure.
for
yeah.
Charlottetown,
Yep.
Prince Edward Island, in expanding this facility.
Absolutely. Also, it's very key for us as well. We know that a large percentage of the meetings that come into Prince Edward Island are hosted by what we call local leaders. So local business people, local people that are part of an association that raise their hand to host in Charlottetown for a future event. There's a lot of work, of course, to hosting, so that's where we can come in and really help do all the legwork and connect all the dots and bring all the pieces together for where they need to stay and they can host. So what I would also say in getting the word out of through government, through all divisions of government, that to raise their hand, if they're going out to a conference or they're attending a conference like FCM, then we want to bring it back to Charlottetown and they can connect with us to do that. And certainly, we've worked with the team at the city to help bring a number of conferences to Charlottetown.
Yeah, like I'm sure that Moncton will be going after the FCM because of the new Centre d'Avenir. Like it's got, what, 9,000 capacity? So, you know, I think we're in the ball field, not just for FCM, but conferences and trade shows. And talking about safety, last week or 2 weeks ago was the Aqua Health conference that was down at the Delta. Spoke to 3 representatives from PEI Aqua Health, and one of the scientists is from Portland, and back and forth Portland, Bangor, Maine. And she said, when I come up here to work, I find Charlottetown it's the safest place to work, live, play, and never know, she may come here, raise a family. But I said, in Bangor, Portland, do you find that there are issues? And she said, yeah, there are. So, you know, that safety factor, that community safety factor is very important on how we sell Charlottetown as a place to come to host events, trade shows, and so forth.
Absolutely.
Just a couple more questions, Mr. Chair.
Questions or comments?
Well, there's also the impact of tariffs, and I think you mentioned this before, and economic uncertainty. I think we were at that round table when one of the stakeholders talked about American visitors coming up here. His fear may be that there might be a backlash. Is that something you're concerned about?
We haven't seen that. Certainly, anyone that's in the hospitality industry in Prince Edward Island is open and welcoming to visitors that are coming this year. As I mentioned previously, that we are talking to many meeting planners that are concerned about going into the U.S. with their meetings, so they're looking to choose destinations in Canada, which is key for us. And we're not really hearing that a lot of people are canceling business coming into Canada at this time. But we are keeping a really close eye on that. But we certainly are putting out the message that Charlottetown is open and welcome, and Prince Edward Island is, and we would love to have all visitors come to visit us this year.
Yeah, and I think just to add on to a piece of that, excuse me, it's, and I've heard a few rumors of that, and you see what's going on in the PEI legislature, but I think at the end of the day, Canadians and Americans have always gotten along. They've always been the best of friends. This is basically coming from one guy, and it's interesting enough. I've seen a number of bus stops and so on now that they're placing advertisements where they're apologizing to Canada. So I do agree too. You know, obviously the more Americans that and this should be a good year for Canada for tourism from Americans. Plus, you'll have your Canadians staying in Canada for the most part. So I think it should be very welcoming for Canadians to welcome the Americans up here. And they're still our friends.
Just to follow up on that, Mr. Chair, Governor of California is now doing ads, nationwide ads, and being very clear that we're here for business. We want you to come down to California. Don't listen to what's going on in Washington, D.C. They don't represent all of us. So I think that is happening in California because they got that Western Coast market, which is a big, and not only just for California, Nevada also. So, and you know, when the chair talks about just one person, no, I think the Mexican president says it best. It's the White House you're dealing with. There's a lot of different ideas and thoughts there. I just want to finish up with this, Mr. Chair. So tomorrow night, we're doing a roundtable meeting with Summerside. We're going to go up there with some staff and some members of council. One of the issues on the agenda, events and hosting. They're looking at more joint events with Charlottetown, Summerside. You know, for example, I think the U17, Wayne, U17 was a huge success The Canada Games was a huge success. I think for the Canada Games in New Brunswick, it's going to be St. John and Moncton. So these joint events, I think, what are your thoughts about doing that with Summerside, Charlottetown, and whatever other community?
Absolutely, it's fantastic. It's 45 minutes away, so really, anyone coming from outside of a small province is used to traveling that on a daily basis to get to where they need to go. So I think that anything
You mean
that
the
we
drive
can
to
do-
Summerside's not that far?
It's not that far.
Boys, drive to Summerside.
All right,
Thank you, thank you.
you guys
So-
have any questions? Yeah, Wayne, want to go ahead?
Thank you, Susan, for your presentation. Just quickly, can you talk a little bit about, not only is it a competitive landscape, and it's important to be in market, incentives are valuable. However, business events bring a high-yielding delegate. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So through data that we receive from Destination Canada, business events, and through Meetings Mean Business Canada, the conference delegate spends an average of about 4 times of a leisure traveler. So we know that this aligns with the provincial tourism strategy, with our own strategies to get higher yielding guests into the province and into Charlottetown and into the cities. They will spend more, they will do more activities, they will come early, they will stay late. Prince Edward Island is really considered a bucket list destination, so we've heard from meeting planners that they might, for example, say that their conference is being held in a bigger city in 2025, but then they're coming to Prince Edward Island in 2026, and the conference attendees want the information on the 2026 conference that's coming into Prince Edward Island. So we see that all the time, we hear that all the time. We know that there's a great value to the business the business events and the conference delegate.
Anybody else? Kevin? You're good?
No, I'm great.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Sue, again, I want to thank you for coming in. A lot of good information there. You're doing a great job. So congratulations. Keep up the good work.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
that.
me.
And next, we'll move into a closed session. Matter still under consideration on which the council has not yet publicly announced a decision and about which discussion in public would likely prejudice the municipality's ability to carry out its negotiations. So can I have a mover and a seconder to move into closed session? Moved by Councilor
I just
Doyle,
say-
second by Councilor Ramsey. Thank you.
Yep. I mean, do I just stay on the same line, Cindy?
What's that, Kevin? Are we in open yet?
We're in the open session, Kevin. Huh?
Okay.
Kevin wants to go down to the beach.
Yes, the family's down there now.
Okay, we're back in open session. Just have one motion to move on to council from Economic Tourism and Cultural Development, and it's a motion on an event soon to be announced. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by.
I'll move it.
Councilor Twill, second by Councilor Ramsay. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor Twill, second by
Yeah.
DeRosa.
Yeah, shut that
Thank you very much, Kevin.